Hello and welcome to Sega News Bits Extra. With me is the ghost with the mostest, Barry.
Hey! Oh God.
Barry doesn't have his camera on today, so I could use any photo I want when he talks. Isn't that like a privilege to have, Barry?
Oh, thank you so much. Well, I do video, but I'm just sitting in my parents' sewing room, so I don't know how exciting that would be.
This show is usually only for Patreons. Every episode of the first of the month will be on YouTube for free, so you guys can sample it. If you guys want to support us, you could go on Patreon for $1. You could win this week a Yakuza deck of cards and a Goro Majima eye patch. If you pledge $5, you'll get the Sega News Bits Extra every week, where you get to hear us rant about Sega News that didn't make it to the Sega News Bits episode. So let's start this episode off right away. Let's talk about Valkyria Chronicles 4 getting overpriced DLC schedule announcements, or at least the schedule has been announced for the DLC. I'm calling it overpriced because that's how I see this. Let's be honest here. This is pretty overpriced. So let me break it down. On the first day, you'll be able to get the Japanese voice pack. This is for the Nintendo Switch. Other versions already have the Japanese voices built in. Tank decals. This is free, so you get some free stuff. It's not all that like that. On October 9th, you'll be able to get Squad E to the Beach. This is $6.99. The Captainless Squad, $4.99, and that'll be on October 23rd. This is free with digital pre-orders, and if you pre-order it digitally, you get it day one. Not physical people. Expert level scrimmages, so basically extra hard mode, $4.99, and this comes out November 4th. The two Valkyries, this one is $4.99. It comes out November 20th. Eddie's Advanced Ops, free if you get the limited edition and you unlock it day one, but if not, you have to pay $3.99 on December 4th. The United Front with Squad 7, $5.99. Free if you get the limited edition and you unlock it day one, but if you don't, it's December 18th. And if you total all this DLC out, it's going to cost you $31.94 if you pre-order the regular standard or launch edition physically, because you're not getting any of this DLC for free. At least I haven't seen a retailer giving these DLC packs for free if you got the regular edition. If you get the limited edition, you save on a couple of packs. What is your thought on the pricing, Barry? Am I going overboard saying that paying $91 for a full game is a little too much?
I agree with you. That's pretty crazy. I saw the email for this from Sega, and I was trying to wrap my head around it. There's so many things being released, and I had no idea that so much of this was like not included when you get the standard edition, and then, like you said, the limited edition, you get, what am I seeing here? 2 of them. So even if you drop that, what was it, like $90 for the limited edition?
Yeah.
You're still, if you want to get everything, and I don't like how they do that thing where there's different DLC with the physical compared to the digital. I think that's really crappy.
Yeah, it's gonna be about like $22 if you extra outside, because you only get 2 packs for free, and those are like $10.
Yeah.
So you're saving $10 on the digital content.
It's kind of a mess. I don't like this.
Yeah, neither do I. I think Atlas used to do it where, like, if you bought the game day one, the DLC would be free for a couple of weeks. They did this with Seven Dragon on the 3DS. Now it's just, no, we're charging you regardless. There's no like time period. You're not getting rewarded for buying the game early. So I just put, like, why wouldn't, as fans, I mean, or people, just regular people, wait for the complete edition for a base price instead of waiting for, like, being nickeled and dimed? It's almost like you're punishing people for supporting the game early, to me.
Yeah, it is very strange. My only guess is maybe they've done research with this on past similar games, and they're like, well, people buy it even if they bitch about it on a YouTube video.
And I think that's what it is, because people were saying in the comments that this is what Nintendo did with Fire Emblem. They did really bad pricing on their DLC. People obviously still bought it. Maybe Sega saw that and they're like, tactical SRPG fans, don't buy this stuff. We'll just put it out there, and if they don't buy it, then we'll just discount it later or something.
Yeah. I wouldn't say it's like a skeevy business practice, because at the very least they are being upfront and telling you when things are coming out. But I still think it's it's kind of nickel and diming people who just want to get all the content.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of how gaming is nowadays, but that's up to the fans to decide. The next bit of news is that Shenmue 1 and 2 on PC are getting fan-made HD textures. I did 2 stories on this. One of them was for the first game, and the other one was for the second game. Basically, it's being done by a guy named Dragian, and his new textures are mostly focused on the background. They're being made from scratch. He's not going over the existing textures. So what do you feel about fans retexturing Shenmue 1 and 2? I mean, isn't this game already perfect?
I think the game looks fine as is, though of course it does look pretty blurry. For me, it's an aesthetic, but I understand why people would want to see this game a little sharper, especially when you start to go in the tomato convenience store and looking at like packages of diapers, and it's just like a blurry mess.
Isn't it that way if you're a father, right? When you walk in, you're stumbling, you're just like, oh, it's a blurry mess. Exactly like Shenmue. Yes, can confirm. I guess the only thing that kind of makes me like I think it's cool that they're doing this, but it's going to sound really nerdy or dorky, I don't know what, but like, you know, when you look at Shenmue and you look at the textures, you kind of think a lot of thought was put into the exact textures that they were using. And so if there's like a certain kind of surface for the road, I think thought was put into creating that, even though it's low res. And so when someone's going, oh, we'll get something that looks similar, then it starts to not be Shenmue. Like, that sounds really dorky. Yeah, but like my idea is, so you're saying like they should have probably retraced it and made it as close as possible as the original textures?
I think it's very difficult to do that, so I understand why they're doing this, but it's almost like, you know, when people do their fan edits of films, and for me, I can't enjoy those because they start to do their own thing, and I'm like, well, that's not the director's intent. Even though I understand you're trying to do this to like improve the film in areas that you think it needed improving. I don't know, I'm just maybe overthinking it. I think overall it looks nice and I like what they're doing. What I'm really interested in are textures of characters' clothing.
Yeah.
I'm actually fine with the environmental textures as is, but character clothing I would really like to see a pack for, because, you know, you look at Tom's shirt and it's just like, it looks like shit.
Yeah, and I think a lot of characters in these games had really cool looking shirts that like Sega kind of ignored. And Sega does have a Sega shop. I mean, hopefully they revisit some of these designs and like make t-shirts out of them.
Yeah, for
And my next bit of this on this news is Yakuza Kiwami 1 and 2 got like full remakes, right? And Shenmue 1 and 2, not really. It's just an HD port. Would you ever want to see like a Shenmue Kiwami?
I think that would be pretty cool. I've been hearing some people saying, oh, they should just use the Dragon engine. I don't think that would be a good idea. I think they should, you know, if you were really going to remake Shenmue 1 and 2, I would create a new engine. I think you're kind of making a mistake there by basically turning it into a Fist of the North Star sort of situation. But okay. Yeah, I think it would be fun to see, but to be honest, I want future games. I'd rather see effort put into Shenmue 3, 4, and beyond and finish the series rather than revisiting 1 and 2, which I think stand up still.
Their intent stands up. I think some people, and there's been some negative reviews about just the little things like I think the mundane in these games kind of make it what it is. Because it's like, I don't know, like you're saying, like now we know what an open world game is. We understand how it works. Like Yakuza gets it. But back in Shenmue, nobody knew how to make an open world game. And it's kind of like a cool relic of the past. So to me, keep it the way it is. Like you, I'm more looking forward to 3 than replaying. I mean, I don't mind replaying them. I've replayed them like a bunch of times over the years. So to me, going all over again to do it over and over and over again, nah. We need more new games. And that's why I think Yakuza, it's okay to have Kiwami, because they've already have new games. They had 0, they had 6. So
yeah, and in the case of Kiwami too, also it's basically bringing Yakuza 1 and 2, where the original games were very different from 3, 4, 5, 6, and 0, and bringing 1 and 2 into that sort of gameplay design, because the first Yakuza looked very different. It was like almost, didn't it kind of remind you of like Resident Evil, where it was like a fixed camera?
Yeah, it was fixed camera. There's obviously a lot of limitations. Like people underestimate how much the franchise has evolved. Like the first one had bad loading, like you couldn't even switch directions in fighting. You could only hit one character. So it's just the little things, you know. It's a better franchise now, I think. I think a lot of people agree.
For sure.
The next bit we're gonna close up with is Twitter talk. Yesterday we asked our Twitter followers the following question: what is your opinion on how Sega is handling marketing for Team Sonic Racing? So far, nothing has me excited to play it like Transformed did. Am I the only one? Before we get into our opinion on this, if you guys want to follow us for these weekly questions, you can follow us at SegaBits at Twitter. And so let me read some of your guys' response on Twitter. Luke_XJ said, I think every game since Generation has gotten more and more bland. Mania aside, one of the best things about Sonic is the good art style and music, and honestly, I'm just not feeling it in most of the games nowadays. And when I do, usually it's just lifted from older Sonic games. At the DCD, it's probably the lack of extra Sega characters. It'll be fun, but not as fun. Some Kirby guy. It does look very fun to play. The roster and stages are subpar, and I've hardly noticed any marketing. XBNM7180. Recent marketing of Sonic games is terrible, except for Sonic Mania. With Forces, we had very limited information about the game. Common people, not fans, just didn't get proper info about the game and didn't have reasons to buy it. This is continuing with TSR, which is very sad. I remember SLW, which is Sonic Lost World.
Yeah.
Generations, colors, marketing, and it was really good. I was hyped about them because I saw a bunch of gameplay, more stages, more trailers. Of course, spoiling the whole game is bad, but a little info just now is much worse in my opinion. And I think some of these people have some, they're saying some right things. A lot of these games where they said they had better marketing was before the new marketing team was in place.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is taking shots at them, but I don't think they are, because I think this is subconscious for them. They just noticed this. And I think a lot of it could be nostalgia. I mean, it's been a long time since Generations and Colors has came out. So to a lot of these people, they were probably way younger when these games came out, and so it was more exciting.
Yeah.
But I do think that Transforms had that whole, like, anything could happen, because it was like they were getting characters from such a large pool of IPs when it was any character from Sega, so you never knew what was happening. But at the same time, a lot of popular Sonic characters had to take a sideline because they couldn't have all Sonic characters, and this lets them do that. But, I mean, what is your opinion? It's kind of like a double-edged sword there, right?
Yeah. A part of me thinks that they just haven't really gotten into the real marketing push for Team Sonic Racing. The game comes out this winter, so I think we're going to see more of that starting probably this month and beyond. Really, they just did the teaser trailer, and then anything else has really just been little teases at events where, it was never really meant for a wide public release. We had those little clips from, Comic-Con and, conventions, things like that. So really, in terms of like full-on trailers, we've only seen 2.
Yep.
I think the first one was fine. I think the second one showed a bit more, but I just think they haven't really gone all out yet. That's my hope. I do think they have made some major mistakes in the character roster, in that they said up front that there will be 15 characters. And so really, we're sitting here just kind of ticking them off the list. Every time we see another one revealed, we're like, well, that's that, and there's less of a surprise, because when we see Team Vector, we know full well that SBO and Charmy aren't in the game. We're spending more time finding out who's not in the game than who is in the game.
And that's, my opinion, the biggest downfall of this game, right? It's like, oh, remember that last game, All Stars? Well, we're not going to have Sega characters.
Yeah.
We're going to have less characters than the last game. And we're not going to transform 3 times like I actually prefer just being driving.
Yeah.
So I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But some people are saying this is just less of everything from the last game. So to them, it's like, what's really the point? And I could see them, and I think that's where they're kind of capped in the marketing, right? They're being truthful. 15 characters.
Yeah.
But the last game had 27 characters. So it gets to that point where it's like, you're just telling me negative things right now. And at least as of right now for the marketing.
in terms of surprises, it just feels like there aren't going to be any for the character roster, because Iizuka is very clear when he says, like, you know, we'll hear in other bits of the Sonic, you know, universe. For example, IDW, he very clearly said Mighty and Ray will not be in the IDW comics because there aren't modern versions. They will be tied to the classic era. And so right there, looking at Team Sonic Racing, that tells us that Mighty and Ray aren't going to be in this game. And then, like I said with Vector, Espio and Charmy aren't going to be in this game. And I'm trying to think, Cream isn't going to be in this game. And Classic Sonic, Classic Knuckles, Classic Amy, Classic Tails, Classic Eggman, they're not going to be in this game from what we've seen.
It would have been cool if they had like skins where like, oh, it's Sonic, but same exact racer, same exact animations, just Sega Saturn Sonic and modern pixels 3D Sonic.
Now I'm still holding out for launch day, a launch edition with a classic Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles and a Sonic R track, because, and I've heard people tell me that's crazy, they're not going to do that. But look at Transform. They did, what was it, Metal Sonic and an Outrun track. And what else did they do?
I like that one.
And they did, for Lost World, they did a Nights into Dreams pack. And for Forces, they did a lot of Sega character costumes. And they've even played up the R in Team Sonic Racing. So there is some Sonic R nostalgia going on. So I could see them maybe holding back from all of those cool reveals and for the launch edition, so that people go, man, this game looked kind of like playing it safe, but the launch edition comes with a Sonic R track, and I kind of need that, you know?
But there's also been this kind of like disparagement from like title to title. Like, okay, when we went to the Sonic Party event, they showed off Sonic, the new game, right? Project 2019 or 2018 or 2017 or whatever it was called back then.
Yeah.
And they didn't show us anything, but when we had Sonic Mania, they showed us a whole level and they let us play it, and there was already hype like that. Like, Sonic Mania hype overshadowed anything that Sonic Team had there because of how secretive they are. And I feel like this is happening. It happened with the marketing of Sonic Forces, where they didn't want to show you a lot, and I think it's because they didn't really have a lot to show because it was only like a 3-hour game.
Yeah.
And then with Team Sonic Racing, they're doing the same thing. It's almost going to be 2 months. And it's like we barely have that much. Like, they need to have something, right? Like, I feel like they have to pull out an ace in their sleeve, or people are just gonna be like, I'll wait until it's 20.
Yeah, everything, like, it looks like a fine game. It looks like a fine roster, and the tracks look fine. But like, I haven't seen anything where I'm like, holy shit, they made that a track. Instead, it's more like there's an ice track that kind of looks like Unleashed, but it's not, and you know, and I wasn't really jumping for a Sonic Unleashed winter stage, really. That's not what I was kind of hoping for. It's fine, but cool, you know.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I think another problem too is with Sega fans is that, like, right now we have a lot of Sega games coming out this year. Like, we have Fist of the North Star still coming out, Valkyria Chronicles 4, and then like Sonic Team Racing, to me, it feels like, to me at least as a Sega fan, that it's kind of taking a back seat in releases, in hype.
Yeah.
I want to hear what you guys think about all this. Let us know what you think of Sonic Team Race, or Team Sonic Racing, or Sonic Team Race. What is the title?
Team Sonic Racing. In
the comments below. Thank you guys for watching. I'll catch you guys next week on another Sega News Bits Extra.
Extra.
Extra, extra, extra.